Today, I am going to tell you what the college football playoff ranking should be, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Considering the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today, I'm going to tell you what the college football playoff ranking should be in a new feature that I hope to drop every Tuesday, basically simultaneously with the college football playoff selection show because yeah, it was a great idea to go head to head with that. No, it wasn't. But first, I got to say, hey, Will, yes, Will Rouse, you, hey, check this out. Your wife, Mary Beth, she has this really cool birthday surprise for you. And she reached out to me and asked me, hey, would I clue you in on it? And yeah, I'm going to tell you. You have a really great surprise. And she's going to tell you what that is. I know what it is. I think it's friggin' awesome, dude. Like, I think it's awesome. I really, really do. Especially considering the lengths for which she's gone through to this. And I got to say, I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of this community. Thanks for caring it all about the channel. I care about you, bro. Let us know in the comments, if you would, what Mary Beth got you. Because that'd be cool. Also, shout out to Mary Beth, who was back and forth in email with me trying to make this work, and I appreciate her letting me get involved in your surprise, Will. Also, I got this book out. It's called Let It Bang. It is mine. I worked on it for 2 years. Came out last week. Probably going to talk about it all the way through Christmas because I want people to buy it. If you haven't bought it, please buy it. If I've sent you copies or you haven't purchased a hardback, I would appreciate it if you did because those matter most. I also got this comic coming out. It's called Blood Country Ruthless. I wrote it. It's illustrated by my buddy Derek Hefner. We are pitching it to comic book publishers because we want a label to pick it up. The sneak peek, you go to my Patreon website, $5. You can read the 8-page PDF. It is primo. I am so excited about this. I'm really, really just chomping at the bit to try to get this made and put it into people's hands. Now, let's talk about the college football playoff selection committee and its first initial rankings and what I think they're going to be. Now, I think Washington State's going to be number 10. And by the way, we're only going to do the top 10 because who cares about the top 25? Top 10 are what we're talking about when we talk about getting into the college football playoff or not, right? 10 at number 10 seems correct to me because it is the best team in the Pac-12, right? It has wins over Utah, Oregon, and Stanford. Problem is, Pac-12 ain't very good. Stanford lost to Notre Dame. USC is garbage. Oregon just got smacked by Arizona. Washington just got smacked by Cal. UCLA is a dumpster fire. Basically, nobody trusts anybody in the Pac-12 to get anything done, but Washington State has a clear path to a Pac-12 championship, and they should be the best team in the conference. That's why I would make them number 10 and not say West Virginia, who's not the best team in their conference. That'd be the Big 12. At number 9, I got the Kentucky Wildcats. I think their defense is legit. I think Benny Snell is a great running back. I also think that Kentucky's going to run into a meat grinder here in a little bit, but they have an extremely tough game left on their schedule in Georgia, where they're going to have to prove that they earn this ranking and or knock Georgia out completely of the college football playoff if Georgia takes an L to Kentucky. But right now, I feel confident in putting them at number 9. At number 8, I got Ohio State, who's still a very good football team, even if it's about to come off who is still a very good football team with a Heisman candidate at quarterback like Washington State. Gardner Minshew, stand up. Dwayne Haskins is a great quarterback. They've got a good running game, but the offensive line just ain't very good. We saw that against Purdue. They couldn't move the football. And then we saw Purdue put up nearly 50 on Ohio State. Still, it's a one-loss team, and they have Michigan left to play, and we'll see how that goes. At number 7, I got Georgia. I got Georgia at number 7 because I know their loss to LSU, a lot of folks think is a really great loss because LSU's strength of schedule is actually pretty great. And LSU is a really good football team. And their only loss is to a pretty good Florida team. I understand that Georgia has a great win against Florida, which is a ranked opponent, but it also still does have Kentucky left, and it can't afford another loss. And if it loses in the SEC championship game, it's not getting in. At number 6, I got Oklahoma. Now, that's going to be controversial for some folks because Oklahoma does not have a win against a ranked opponent. But we all know that Iowa State is a very good football team, and that was a very good W, especially when you take into account what Iowa State has done to other teams. But I want you to take this into account with the number 6 ranking for Oklahoma. Oklahoma ranks number 3 in the Sagarin rankings, which is one of the best polls at predicting on-the-field performance. It's number 3 in Bill Connolly's S&P Plus, which is also a great predictor of on-the-field performance and a future predictor of how you're going to do and how you're going to win out. It's also got the 19th best strength of schedule, which is where I think the whole they haven't played any ranked competition argument goes out the window, because while a lot of those teams weren't ranked when they played them, they have been ranked in the past, and they are going to be ranked going forward. And let's not forget, Oklahoma still boasts the best offense in all of college football. And take this into account, especially when you talk about these rankings, you're talking about how teams might play and they're going to win out. The last 2 teams to beat Oklahoma had to score more than 45. Think about that. Georgia had to score more than 45. Texas had to score more than 45 because Oklahoma's going to put up 45. That's just the way that it is. And which team left on the schedule at Oklahoma can put up 45 with them? Maybe Tech? Probably not. Maybe West Virginia? Probably not. And then that's about it. Everybody else is going to have a really tough time keeping pace with this offense. And you take into account the eye test, you take into account the defense over the last 2 weeks. Yes, a number 6 ranking seems just right. Just like the number 5 ranking for Michigan also seems right. Because as good as Oklahoma is on offense, Michigan is almost that good on defense. And they have games left against Penn State and Ohio State for which they might fumble. But this is a Michigan team that's giving up 14.4 points per game. They're really, really good at defending people. And folks that are picking Penn State to beat Michigan, nah, man, I don't see it. Penn State needed overtime to beat Appalachian State, had to escape Indiana, had to fend off Iowa, and has already caught 2 conference losses. This just ain't a very good Penn State football team, and Michigan is probably going to beat them by 2 touchdowns. Also, that brings back to the argument that everybody knows who's been an OU fan is that Michigan is really the biggest hurdle to Oklahoma getting into the college football playoff, because Michigan's only loss is to Notre Dame. Notre Dame is undefeated, where that Notre Dame loss looks better and better the more Notre Dame keeps winning. If Michigan wins the Big Ten championship, it's very hard to look at Michigan and look at Oklahoma and say that Oklahoma should get in ahead of Michigan unless we see some things on the field that lead us to believe that Oklahoma would be the better matchup in the college football playoff, because that is what the selection committee is ultimately looking at. Because that's how Alabama got in last year. They figured that it was the best matchup to get into the college football playoff. They would give the other 3 teams the best run for their money. Turned out to be true. Alabama won a national championship. I still don't agree with it, but that's how they're thinking about it. At number 4, I got LSU. Right now, LSU has an argument being number 3 because they play one of the toughest schedules in all of football, and their defense is a little bit better than Michigan's, but they can't move the football very well, and we all know that. 7-1, they have a loss to a Florida team that turns out to be better than a lot of folks thought it would be, but not really that great, and they got a big game against the best team in college football today, Alabama, coming up this weekend, so this ranking's really fragile, but I could see 4, or I could also see 3, but I can also see 3 or 2 for Notre Dame. Notre Dame is undefeated, but that win against Michigan looks really good. Also, they have that win against Stanford, but the hardest game they have left to play is against USC, and USC just frankly ain't very good. So it feels like Notre Dame should skate into the college football playoff, but it's Notre Dame. They don't really play anybody. They don't play a conference championship, and they should have to. I don't think they should be allowed to be in this playoff if they don't have to do what other teams do. But as good as the Domers are, and they have trees at wide receiver, and the offensive line is good, I think they're going to have an Ellinger problem, where Ian Book is good, but he can't afford to just throw the ball all over the field like that. He's just not that good. That said, they are undefeated, so a number 3 ranking feels right. At number 2, Clemson, though I can see the argument for making them 3 because Clemson ain't played nobody. Like, I thought the NC State game was going to be a bigger deal. Turns out NC State was one of the fluffiest undefeated teams left, and Clemson exposed them, but in exposing them, Clemson's basically said, we don't really have anybody to play in this conference. Our out of conference wasn't really that great either, with the win over A&M feeling like it was bigger at the time than it was, and that A&M pushed them to the brink. However, if you look at the analytics and you look at just Clemson as a whole, the offense and defense are pretty stout. And outside of Oklahoma, Clemson gives Alabama the best run for its money from an offensive defensive standpoint, for which we all agree Alabama's the number 1 team in college football, especially with Tua at quarterback. The defense is still great. They still have outstanding running backs. They still have outstanding wide receivers. They're going to get tested against LSU, but if they could lose 2 games and still get in the college football playoff, which is why everybody is rooting for Alabama to win out, because a 1-loss Alabama opens the door for a 2-loss SEC team like LSU to get in, and nobody wants to see 2 SEC teams get in again. So to recap, I got number 1 Alabama, I got number 2 Clemson. I got number 3 Notre Dame. I got number 4 LSU. I got number 5 Michigan. I got number 6 Oklahoma. I got number 7 Georgia. I got number 8 Ohio State. I got number 9 Kentucky. And I have number 10 Washington State. We'll see if I was right because it's running right now for those of you watching the premiere. And I'm sure that there's folks that are going to tell me whether or not I was right or wrong in the comments, and we'll fight about it. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.